What is up, backyard bassing fans? All right, guys. I know in the live stream we had a couple guys asking about different trailers, stuff like that for chatterbaits, for spinner baits, stuff like that. And we were kind of going through and explaining the different trailers we use. I know Gabe and I were talking about like our swim jigs, and we were talking about different baits getting different lifts. And I wanted to kind of explain that because I know there's a few guys out there that kind of question that. I had a few guys actually ask me after the show, messaged me on Instagram and a couple other places, but they were questioning what baits we were actually talking about and stuff like that. Now I'm going to show you just a quick reference here on what we were actually getting at. So the first one I'll show you is just a little rage crawl here, or not rage crawl. It's let me think here, guys. I forgot the name. It's a Berkeley bait, but I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, this is a Berkeley bait here, and what we're actually talking about is you can actually see those are flat flanges. There's no up flange there. There's no lip or anything like that. It's just a flat flange, and that's what we were talking about, like with the speed crawl and stuff like that. So this is typically what I like to use on a swim jig or a chatterbait, something like that. That I want it just to swim true. I don't want it to coming up in the water. I don't want it sinking real fast. This action back here just gives you real nice kicking back and forth action. It does not detour the way the swim jig acts, or the spinnerbait, or the chatterbait. This is another one. This is a havoc bait here. But you can see, if you want a little bit more action back there, but not real big. These are just 4 flat little tentacles here. Like I said, there's no flanges on them or nothing like that, so they swim true. They come through the water, they're just flickering back there, back and forth like this. This is actually a really, really good bait to throw. I usually cut it off right about there, and I'll use it as a trailer on my jigs, my swim jigs, chatterbaits when I'm throwing them. I really do like having all 4 of them back there, kind of getting all different actions, and they flip through the water pretty good, but they're not real erratic like one with a flange would be. So talking about the one with the flanges, this is a rage bug here, and you guys can see right there, that's got big flanges on it. You can see looking back at that way, this thing's going to have a ton of action to it. But if you look how slender that body is, it comes to a point, comes out and gets a little wide, and it's flat. So what happens typically, like with a chatterbait or a spinnerbait or even a swim jig or something like that, that creates drag. So when that water's coming through, it's pushing that bait up. These legs back here kicking, that's creating a lot of drag on your bait too, which creates it to pull up. So that's what you get your rise from. I know a lot of guys out there, they'll just say, oh, just lift your rod. On the other hand, I kind of disagree with that to a certain point. Lifting your rod does help. It does get it a little bit higher in the water column. But the one thing that I will tell guys is when you lift your rod, you are taking away from your hook set there too. If you've got your rod and it's right here and you're reeling in and it's a little bit too deep and you bring your rod up to here to get it to where you want, now you've only got from here to here to set your hook. Before, you were down here and you've got a good hook set. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that stuff. If you want to get a little bit shallower and you don't want to raise your rod up, like you don't have enough room for it, which don't get me wrong, guys, it does work. It works very well, and I know a lot of guys that do it. But if you're having to raise it up so much that you're getting away from having a good hook set, that's when you can go with these different baits, the wider baits, the wider body. There's something with a lot of action that's going to pull that bait up in the water column. Another good one right here is the bandito bug. The bandito bug's got a really big flange on it. The rage crawls have a really big flange on it, work really well. There's a lot of baits out there that you can use to get that little bit of lift on there and get that more erratic action. Because when you're throwing these things are going to kick so much more because of the flanges on there. I mean, they're going to be really wild. So, and one thing we were talking about was having a bait or a trailer on there that changes the action of your swim jig or your chatterbait. I know Georgia Bassmaster was talking on there about him throwing a swim bait on his chatterbait, but it really slowed the chatterbait down and made it didn't give it as much action as it should have had. But he said if you turn it upside down, you'd really get that good action. So keep that in mind too. You can always turn them upside down. They work a little bit better. Same with these rage bugs with the big flange. You're going to get a lot more action on them, a little bit more lift. So it's changing that direction of which way that bait is actually going. So that's when you might want to go down to that more of that flat style, the appendages, stuff like that. It'll work typically a little bit better for you. So, like I said, guys, just a quick explanation of what we were actually talking about. Maybe to help you guys out, a couple that were asking. Like I said, I'm always out for helping anybody out with anything. I don't care if it's a stupid question or not. Make sure you ask it. I'll be more than happy to either talk to you about it or put a video out for it or something just to help you farther along. So I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks.